podcast. We have Mr. Gus, the growth leader at MetaSoccer. What's going on, my dude?
Hey, mate. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be in the show.
Likewise, my friend. Really looking forward to explore all things MetaSoccer and get into it. But before we do, it's time to level up.
Take it to the next. Level. Take it to the next. Level.
And we are ready to rock. Gus, I hope you're fired up. Everybody watching, listening, I hope you're fired up as well. Let's get into the show. So, Gus, MetaSoccer, it is the next gen football club in the metaverse. And we are talking about soccer, not American football. But yeah, tell us about it. I mean, really would love to just hear the origin story of the project and where it came from, how it got started, and where it really is right now.
Yeah, 100%. Like MetaSoccer, we started this project of more or less a year ago. But the company that own MetaSoccer is called Champions Game. Okay, so we are in this industry of football or soccer industry since 2015. We have another project that's called Beam Manager. It's not in the Web3, it's in the Web2. It's a traditional fantasy football game that we have right now more than 2 million registered users and more or less 1 million active users. But of course, after the COVID happened in 2020, 2019, all the football matches stopped around the world. So of course that we as a company need to figure it out, how to make money, how to continue the business. And of course, we are all young, like 30 something years old. So we are all investing in crypto. We are always take a look about the next big thing. So it was like a no-brainer type of decision to kind of pivot in the activity of the company to the Web3. We are still having the game for the Web2, 100%, but we are more focused right now in the Web3 because we believe a lot that this might be like huge in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years or even 10. Like we have no idea the direction of the market right now. We are in the bear market like forever, but we are here for the long term. So we want to build a very sustainable and huge project to be the next FIFA federation in the metaverse.
All right. Well, that's very exciting, and it's a bold vision, which I really love to see. So maybe you could take us a little bit back in history, though, and help us understand like what is like what were the fundamentals of the game before Web 2, and then and really the project before Web 2, and then that transition into Web 3, or before Web 3 in Web 2. Then that transition to Web 3, what has changed in the project from then to now?
Yeah, like the project in the Web2 is more like a fantasy football. So the results of the real match that happen in real life impact in the leaderboard and the monetization that you have as a user. And right now in the Web3 with MetaSoccer, all the football players, all the assets in the game, because we have football players, we have youth scouts. Later on, we'll have more types of assets in the game as well. They're all native on the blockchain. Okay, so pretty much you do not depend of the real world activities that will impact in the game in real life. So everything is built up in the Web3. So that's the main difference between the Web2 type of game and the Web3 that you are building right now.
Okay, so it seems like it's more of you're more of building out, and you're building out a full game in Web 3, or how is that actually working? Because if you're building out a full game, then that adds a whole tremendous new layer of cool to the whole project.
Yeah, like it's amazing the amount of work that you are putting in the project because we are really create a game out of scratch, like starting the fundamentals and creating, develop. So that's why we are like 1 year in the making of the game. The game is fully live right now, giving rewards. We have more than 3,000 football teams playing MetaSoccer right now. So we have already a huge community. Of course, this can increase over time. when the game is more ready. But we are already going that direction, so that's why it's taking a lot of time to build this what we are doing right now. We are kind of in alpha transition to beta in the game, but for sure 100% that for us to have a more like a strong type of product is more like 6 months or even a year, so it can be like a very very cool game that even people for the web 2 would love to play MetaSoccer in the web 3. We are going that direction, of course, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort that we are putting 100%.
Of course. And y'all have such a big community from before. I mean, I was looking at y'all's Twitter. You have 133,000 people just on your Twitter community. So it seems like y'all have a really strong base to build from. Now, are you seeing people from the Web 2 side of the business come into the Web 3 side of the business yet? Or is that more of later down the road?
For us to be like a kind of a sport related game in football, it was a little bit easier for us to get these people out of Web 2 to the Web 3. So that's why we have more or less around 200,000 followers on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It's a huge community. But of course, that we create all this community. I was the one that was creating all the community since September last year. It was a very different time of what we're having right now, because back the days we have like a huge bull run. Right now we're in a very, very bear market right now. So it was way easier for us to make the community to people that are engaging and want to enter. Right now is more complicated because of the whole situation in the marketplace, in NFT. I guess you know, Ben, like for example, OpenSea from all-time high is down 99%. So it's crazy the amount of bearness that we are having in the NFT industry right now. So what I can see, not only MetaSoccer, but in NFT space in general, is that if you do not have a very strong foundation like project, it's impossible to attract new users. For us, and not only us, like for me, esports is very key to try to bring users from Web 2 for Web 3. Whoever have this type of project can very easily try to target this user to go to the Web 3, to this type of game. But of course, the focus should always be in the product, in the project, and not only in the monetization and give 100% of ROI like in 1 week, as we have like 1 year ago. That was like very, very crazy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I like the sports angle because it's something that is not totally new to people. Like people get sports. We've been playing sports for, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of years, however long we've been playing. Probably since the beginning of humanity, we've been playing some sort of sport, and then we've just labeled it different things in today's world. And so it seems like it's a lot more relatable. What do you find are, as you know, the growth leader of the project, what are you finding are the biggest points of knowledge gaps? Like what do you have to educate people on in order for them to like get it and be able to fully participate in the game and use the product? It would seem like it's probably less, but maybe different things pop up.
Yes, 100%. Like for us, I play a lot of play to earn games, or play and earn, like how people like to call it nowadays. But I play a lot of projects back in the days. X Infinity, one of them, 100%. So for me, it was very complicated to figure it out. Like for example, how to play X Infinity, because I have no idea what is an X, why do you need to have 1, 2, 3. I mean, everything is new, so we need to educate yourself, watch a lot of YouTube videos and etc. But that's the beauty of having a sport type of project, in our case, a football, because if you are a fan, if you really enjoy, it's the same. Like you understand, you need to have like 11 players, select a formation, select a strategy, you're gonna play against your opponent, you have a leaderboard, very easy. Like I can teach you or teach anyone like in 5 minutes how to play MetaSoccer. But of course, to go in more details, what is the best player and etc., takes longer. But it's very easy for a newcomer to come to the project and understand everything that you are doing. So right now, what I see as a main barrier of entry in MetaSoccer, and not only us, like in Web3 in general, is that not everybody is Web3 or crypto savvy. So like it's very tricky to you to explain to a guy from Web2 what is a MetaMask, that you need the gas fee to have BNB or Medic, or that you have tokens that you need to create, connect, take a lot of care about the scammers. So like it's a lot of friction that you have right now. We still have to try to onboard Web2 people to the Web3. So it's my job, and not only my job, that people need to try to facilitate as much as possible this new wave of people that want to come to the Web3. So that's why the focus should be in custodial wallets, in on-ramp, in off-ramp. So it's very easy for everybody to understand. Just click like play, buy, put a credit card, receive the assets. Everything is very intuitive. If you want to go like 100% crypto guy, then create a MetaMask. But if not, you have other options. So for me, that's one of the focus that you are doing right now, MetaSoccer, because like in 2 months, less than 2 months, we have the World Cup. So we want to onboard a lot of users, and we know that custodian wallet is a big thing for us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we've actually been seeing that a lot more come into focus is how do we reduce friction and onboard users as easily and frictionlessly as possible, to the point where some folks that I've been speaking to are even saying we don't even want to have to mention Web3 at all. We just want to say, hey, random person, here is the fun game, couple of clicks and you're in. You don't need to do anything fancy, so that you could start learning how to play the game and you can start putting your efforts into there. Because with any game, and with soccer, it seems like it's going to be much easier to cross that gap between, okay, you've set up, you're beginning to play, now you have to learn how to play, right? You got to learn how to move, how to shoot, how to break people's ankles, trip them up a little bit, and how to, when the refs throw you a red card you don't agree with, shout at the refs. I'm sure that I'm sure there's a special hotkey. But it seems like with soccer, it's like easy to start, to pick up, but difficult to master. But it just changes the conversation because it like cuts off a huge learning curve that comes with having to become Web3 savvy and then learn how to play the game. And now it puts Web3 games on equal footing with any other game, where it's like, get into the game and start playing. So are you feeling that narrative shift around the entire ecosystem like I am?
Yes, 100%. Like, I don't know if you check the news, but for example, Reddit was selling NFTs, but they're not saying to the community that it was NFTs. So like, it's kind of NFTs a forbidden word that do not mention ever NFT. So I think that I'm seeing this as well, that it's better to not touch on the subject. We are a crypto Web3 type of game, but for us to pretty much onboard Web2 users, it's better not to touch it. It's like, okay, it's a game, it's a football managed type of game. If you want to play, just click here. You're gonna onboard you, like giving you, let's say, a football team for free, so you can try it out and etc. Then if you want to go to a division system, leaderboard, to get some real rewards, you can buy with credit card. But if not, just stay in the freemium type of version, and that's it. But I'm seeing the same thing as you, that maybe it's better not mention right now NFT at all. Maybe like in 2 years, in 3 years, the ecosystem will be like way stronger, so people will understand what is an NFT, on this Web3, and all that you are doing in the blockchain as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that you're seeing that as well. And I want to just take a couple steps forward. If this is the narrative that's big right now, and this is what people are really figuring out and digging into now, what's going to be next? I mean, what do you think is really on the forefront of, like, nobody's really paying attention to this right now, but you guys are thinking like, hey, we see this coming. Once we take care of this friction problem, this is the kind of the next thing we want to move to. What do you think the next narrative is going to be within the gaming space?
Yeah, I still think that people are not thinking too much in mobile part of games. Like right now, I can see some people moving the game to the mobile. Like we, for example, we are, first of all, we are a mobile company because our first game, Web2, is mobile. So right now we are putting MetaSoccer in the mobile as well, because we all know that people don't have time anymore to be in the browser and play games. So you need to create a mobile type of game. And of course, you need to take it out all these barriers that you just mentioned right now, of custodian wallet, on ramp and off ramp. If you go in that direction, the chance that you're gonna make it in this environment is very high. But of course, a lot of focus in the product of what you are doing. So in sports that you are mentioning back now in the call, for me, what we are thinking about doing in the vision of Champions Game MetaSoccer is, of course, try to explore even more other types of sports games and try to create even more products around this. Because for me, sports in the Web3 ecosystem is a way in to onboard a lot of people from Web2 to game, and then these people can figure out what is DeFi, what is crypto, what is Ethereum, what is Bitcoin. So I guess that we have a lot to win in the crypto verse in general with this onboard of people from gaming that just want to have fun, but they will understand what you are doing with decentralization, with blockchain, Web3. So we can do this full merge for them to be like on the same side as we are.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I like what you're talking about with mobile, because if anybody's been studying where the revenues come from in gaming, I'll give you a hint. It's over 50% mobile. So,
Yeah.
and how long has mobile been around versus console and PC? Come on, guys. Let's use our heads here. Mobile's definitely the next big thing. But that comes with its own issues, because then you have to deal with different operating systems. You have compliance as far as the App Store, and compliance as far as legal regulation and all that stuff. So, and then trying to do crypto fully on mobile, if you didn't have a computer, it would be kind of difficult. Like, I know I prefer doing crypto on not mobile, as far as, you know, actual behind the scenes transaction sort of stuff. But that has to be overcome in order for crypto to really hit the full scale adoption. So this next wave, if we, or a next narrative, if we will, of being mobile, what do you think is the strat there? What's the play? I mean, do you just suck it up and go and pay Apple their 30% fee, to pay Google their 30% fees on in-game purchases and NFTs? And those could be different things. How do you, how are you guys thinking about that from the, just trying to be as prepared as possible perspective?
Yes, 100% is like a pain in the ass. We are facing this issue right now. All the team, we have a specific team right now focused on the mobile. So we are already adapting the game to the mobile. 100% vision about the World Cup that's going to happen in November, December. But this issue with Apple Store is an issue because it's not permitted for us to sell crypto or something like that in the Apple Store right now. So maybe what I can see it's coming, not this year, maybe like in 1 year or so, that we're going to have a provider for the Web3 apps to try to enter in this type of realm. But I have no idea if we have someone doing it. Probably yes, because for me it makes a lot of sense to have a provider. They're going to have the Web3 type of games in the store so you can download. But if not, you're going to have our mobile version for you to download outside the Apple Store. It's not optimum, it's not the best solution, 100%. But until Apple Store and all the others be like compliant with crypto, it's the only way that we can do it. But of course, whenever it's going to be possible for us to be there, the adoption will be like huge.
So it's more important for you guys to get to the players, and you'll suffer through the 30% taxes. It's worth it to go for the players.
100%. Like for us, we need to scale, need to have more users, and so we can expand more the company. Right now, these fees of transaction for me, I'll gladly pay for whoever, just for us to get new users, to expand their brand, to make new people figure out what is MetaSoccer and start to play MetaSoccer as well. So for us, the fee is kind of high, 100%, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. So I've seen some games where they create two separate versions. There's like their Web 2 version, and there's Web 3 version, and the players cannot play with each other, and everything's really separate. To me, that's taking a little bit of a step backwards, because we saw back in the day there were a lot of people that wanted crossplay between Xbox, PlayStation, computer, blah blah, mobile, blah blah blah, and then we didn't get it for a long time. But then we got it, and now it feels like we almost have to make that decision again with this stuff. So I feel like we're taking a step back. But then others I've seen are taking the approach of, well, just make it all Web 2 friendly, and then if they want, they can activate Web 3 functionality on the back end, and maybe they go to the web account to do that, and they can't do it from mobile. So maybe they're more, compliant with the various bodies that they need to be compliant towards. Which model do you think is going to work right now? And who are you seeing as far as just from an execution perspective? And I don't need names, but like, how are they doing it in a way that's good, of people that are really doing this well?
Yeah, like I agree with you that right now I think that people are more thinking about separate the Web3 part and the Web2 because of course like the Web3 people are really paying to have the assets to have the NFT, so that's one thing. And for you to pretty much to onboard Web2 users, you need to get them, let's say in our case, a squad of 11 players. But it's not going to be like fair for the Web3 people if you give away these assets for free. So that's why we have this separation of okay, I can give you for free all the assets that have no monetary value. For example, they are not NFTs. Let's put that way. They are not NFTs. So it's more makes more sense for us to go in that direction and like on board, let's say 5,000 people. All of them have a squad of football players that are not NFT. They're going to compete in the division system or whatever. Top 10, top 100, you get a full squad. They are NFTs, so you can enter in the NFT part in the Web3. So it can be like a kind of a way for you to test it out, to try out the game, and us on our side to give you this price of a full team in NFT, so you can enter in the party of going full with the Web3 part. So I guess that's a good way. I understand that maybe it's kind of complicated to have two separate type of games. So okay, one is NFT, one is outside NFT, but I guess that if you put everything together, you're gonna have a lot of friction with the Web3 guys because they are paying to have that asset. So it's not gonna be fair for them if we as a company start to give it away this for free. So that's why I guess that everybody that's going the same type of decision is going that direction because makes more sense to try to split a little bit the type of game, and then to the best one you give the real price, they are NFT. So I guess that's a good outcome that you can have out of this.
Do you could you almost do it to where the web 2 people have the option to pay either upfront or later and almost like right size web 2 and web 3 on the back end? Like let's say what you they start off in web 2, they do want to buy it, and it doesn't have to be skinned as wet as NFTs or whatever, but like, whatever the same functionality, like this can be your team that nobody can mess with. And then if they ever decide to get into the Web3 side, either they paid for it at that time or they reserve the right to pay for it later. And then they'll be able to pay for it, and then they can mint or whatever if they get more savvy, blah, blah, blah. But could that be a viable option?
Yes, I think it's a viable option. Like for me, I'm a Brazilian guy, so I love football. I've been playing Football Manager and all the type of football games for the past 20 years. So for me, I'm that type of guy that for me spend the hours like just playing a football type of game. So this, I would love to see that as well, MetaSoccer. So let's say I'm gonna enter MetaSoccer, receive a free team, let's say, in that division, I can create, let's say, a Brazilian division. 5 division, I start in the bottom. I need to go to the first division, just have fun with the game. Everything is off chain, everything is not NFT. And then I have an option. Let's say if I reach to the first division, you're gonna be eligible to enter in the NFT, you're gonna receive a squad, achievements, or whatever. This is gonna be like awesome to do it. For me, I'm very just to talk about it, I'm very excited to have this in place. But of course, this takes a lot of work in the product team to develop all of that. So right now we have a huge pipeline of things to deliver, like PvP, division, 2D version of the game. So if I come with that idea to the product team, they're gonna kill me 100%. But but for me, like it's a dream, of course, to have this type of things in the game. Probably, I would say that maybe in 6 months we can start to test it out, something around it, because for this quarter until beginning of January, February, we are kind of fully booked in terms of development that we're going to do. Later on, let's see. But again, it's a great idea.
The eternal struggle between we as dreamers and the product developers that have to sit there and
Yeah,
make that a reality.
yeah, it's real. Like I'm a guy that have a lot of ideas because I play football for a lot of time, so I'm kind of a investor. I'm from the community because I'm the community pretty much every single day. I'm the growth leader slash community manager, so I know pretty much everything that happens in the community, what they want, what they need. I'm also an investor and I also play the game. So for me, I wear like a lot of hats every single day. So I give a lot of ideas, but of course, we need to try to figure it out the best way to put this in the product line because, I mean, this guy has a lot to do in the daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to scope out a little bit And I want to talk about the intersection of IRL sports and the metaverse and crypto gaming. I think this is such an opportunity and so tremendously untapped. I would assume you would agree, given different things you're doing. But I just see so much opportunity. Like, people already know about sports. People love sports. People get it. You don't have to teach them anything. So there's a lot of just inherent advantages there. But also think about and I'm sure you already think about it. So I'm mostly just speaking, for the audience. But think about what happens when all of these different athletes and the individual players themselves that are the professionals, what happens when they start to realize all these things are coming and they start to team up with different games? Like, I'm actually more of a basketball person, so I don't know a tremendous amount about soccer, but like the equivalent of a LeBron James or a Zion Williamson would, if they created an NFT launch, let's say with your guys' meta basketball division, and it would be so tremendously fun and cool. And there's so many crossovers, and athletes are like celebrities in today's day and age. They have massive, massive reach. People look up to them, and they also have a ton of resources, and they're very well connected. And then the world of sports has so much visibility in the world that, to me, there's just such this massive power core to plug into that Web3 can plug into with the existing sports. So where do you really see all of that going, and what is that going to look like?
Yeah, for the future, I can imagine a lot of things going on. Just for your information, like meta basketball is a reality. So maybe in a couple of months or in the middle term, I'm going to have a conversation with you about this as well, because we are here to really try to make a lot of things in the sport related. Right now, we are only with soccer / football, but if you make this product right, for us to just change the rules, change the NFTs, it's easier. So like for us, we have a lot of things to do in the mid-long term, for example. But in regards this, trying to put football players, football clubs from real life in the metaverse on what we are doing. We are already doing this right now. For example, my t-shirt is from Vasco da Gama. We have the sponsorship and the ownership of all the rights of these clubs in Brazil. He is like a top 5 club in Brazil, over than 10 million supporters. So we have like a very good reach already with some football clubs. In terms of real football players, we have, for example, Ronaldinho Gaúcho from Barcelona, the best of the world as well. They are with us. It's going to be one of the few NFTs from real life that you're going to have on MetaSoccer, because for us, we are trying to create this metaverse, like everything is new. But of course, for marketing purposes and everything, it makes sense for us to have like one big guy from Brazil, from Argentina, from England or whatever, to be an ambassador and be an NFT as well. So we are going that direction. It makes a lot of sense because it's easier for you as a consumer, as a supporter, to relate with us if you have like your club in our metaverse, if you have like a player that you are a huge fan with us as well. So makes sense. We are going that direction. But for example, in the clubs part, because we are creating clubs from the metaverse, but we want also to have clubs from real world with us. Let's say Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, big clubs. We want to give them the option to have a digital club in the metaverse, because right now they have the male, the female, the youth squad. We want to create as well the digital one as well in the metaverse. But we have these small barriers right now. One of them is the custodian wallet, MetaMask, Web3. The friction is still very high for us. These guys that are huge football fans, most of them, like 95%, have no idea what is NFT, what is like the metaverse. So we still have that friction. So for us to onboard the club, we need to work a lot in the education part, so they can transmit over Twitter, YouTube content, like whatever, what we are doing and how they can relate with us. The best thing that me as a growth leader, I envision for the near future is, for example, we're doing this with Vasco da Gama. We're going to create a Vasco da Gama team in MetaSoccer full of players that are native from the blockchain, but also we're going to start to put players from the past, historical players that played in the 90s, in the 80s, that everybody loved it. And also they play from the Brazilian squad. So huge type of people that was playing like 20, 30 years ago. So you, like as a huge supporter, you always like listen and heard the histories about that player, but you never watch him play. But with us, we can take it out the guy, create an NFT, put him to play, so we can start to see again that player playing the metaverse. So like we can really create, let's say, the best team of Manchester United from Real Madrid from the 80s, from the 70s, create NFT, create content, engage with supporters that have right now 40, 50, 60 years old. So the amount of things that we can create, I can talk about it for half an hour very easily, but the amount of things that you can do in the metaverse, like it's absurd. But of course, need to work a lot in this education and the entry barrier, because otherwise for us it's just giving money to clubs and football players to have the name, to have the logo, etc. But we can never get new users because they don't understand the value proposition of what you are doing. So it's a kind of a marketing, educational, PR type of work that we are doing. But again, we have time. We're gonna be here like this year, next year, and the next 5 years. So until that, like we're gonna have a lot of time to work with the education part.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But wow, once that happens, I mean, you guys have some tremendous relationships already in place. I can see it. I mean, this is going to be really exciting. I'm so happy for you guys. So, thinking about really the future of competitive competitive sports, like almost web3 esports, if you will. Obviously, this fits perfectly, so perfectly. We're
That's the idea.
we're seeing so much more viewership in esports than we are in traditional sports. And just based on the numbers I've read, if I'm wrong, please correct me because I want to be historically accurate, even if that means it's you're correcting me. So we're seeing tremendous amounts of adoption from the esports side. Very, very, very few businesses, however, have found the economics of esports very enticing right now. What I foresee is when crypto, when it's Web3 enabled esports, that monetization piece is taken care of in a big way. And then the way is paved for esports forever to really be a bastion of culture, of awareness, and and I want to stick with culture to really be a game changer when it comes to culture. How are you guys thinking about esports, and what's that going to look like for you guys in the project?
Yeah, like for me, the esports is exactly where we want to go because it's a very competitive environment, and you know that esports is very easy for you to engage the audience with a sport type of game. So that again, like if you have a sport type of project, for me, you are going the right direction because you have already a huge user base from the Web2 that you can attract to the Web3. So for us, what we are envisioned to do and what we are doing right now with Vasco da Gama and the other clubs that you're going to engage in MetaSoccer is that we want to create the football club. We want to create them with these historical players to engage the community from the Web2. Say, hey, now you can see this player that played with us like 20 years ago. We have them again right now. So we can create a lot of PR campaign about it. And on top of that, we're going to give the ownership of that club to an influencer. Okay, so a Twitcher guy, a YouTuber guy that have a massive audience from that club. It can be like better because he can engage easier the Web2 audience. Imagine a guy that do a stream about a football team in a weekly basis, talk about the game with 100,000 people view. Imagine give the ownership of that club to this guy. So instead of him like just live stream once a week, one game per week, he can live stream as well MetaSoccer, and it's not like one game per week, it's one game per day. So he can start to create awareness, create more content, and then we can start to give the ownership of another club, a rival for Manchester United, Manchester City, for example, to another guy. So this guy gonna play against each other in a division system, which can start to create a lot of competitiveness among influencers, among the teams as well, the community. So that's what we are envisioned to do because we really want to do this full immersive on board of the real club in the metaverse. Create a team, create the digital assets, bring back to life, let's say, the historical players, give this to an influencer. So the club is going to monetize a lot because they are engaged with a new audience,
Yeah.
audience of the Web3. These guys have 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, or whatever, but normally these guys are not like watching television, for example. So they know that they can engage new audience, sell more products, give more, pretty much everything. So we are going to do this full immersion with the club, and on top of that, like the cherry, is that we are going to sell as well the stadium. So like imagine like a San Siro, Anfield, or whatever. In the real life, you want to sell the stadium as well in the MetaSoccer environment. So like if you are a huge fan of your own club, imagine you have like the seats of this stadium in the metaverse for like, let's say, $50 or whatever. You can purchase the seat. You're gonna have rewards out of the game, and of course you can even link these to real life activities. So imagine you have a seat, and then you can go to a museum tour or whatever in the stadium in real life. You can receive tickets, you can receive t-shirts. So we can link all the Web3 activity that we are doing with the Web2 as well. So it's very easy for us to do this transfer of people from Web2 from Web3. But then again, like it's a lot of education, a lot of onboarding, PR, meetings. So we can do all of that. But all the ideas, it's in here. So we have a lot of work to do so we can go in that direction. But when we go there, when we achieve that direction and achieve that goal, it's gonna be amazing.
I love it. So I want to scope out for a second because I feel like this is something a lot of people hear about in like the news and or they read about in articles or see YouTube videos, whatever. But I want to really hear from, because you're building in the space and you obviously, as an investor in the project, as somebody who plays the game, a gamer, and part of the core team. So you're deep in the metaverse. You're seeing all this stuff. But I want to almost scope out a little bit the what's going on with currencies around the world right now. Like we're seeing tons of inflation, currency is getting devalued. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty brutal on a lot of people. Like, what is actually in your part of the world? Like, how is this affecting day-to-day life for people? Keeping in mind for those listening not live, we're recording this October 4th, 2022. We just had a call from the UN to US central bankers and world central bankers to stop hiking rates because we're seeing that there's some devastation going on around the world from a financial perspective. But in your neck of the woods, what's that actually like for people in the day to day?
Yeah, like right now we have like a tough time like for everybody. Like the inflation is very, very cruel. I'm in Brazil right now, so I can really see the impact that you are having a day-to-day kind of basis. So I can see that the impact that you are having, and it's very bad. Like for me, I don't see, let's say, end of 2022 being a good year, and I don't see as well next year to be a good year because I'm expecting that next year gonna be like way worse than this year. So I'm expecting a housing crash because of the amount of the inflation. All the banks, if you have a house, for example, so you need to pay more interest, so it's more money. You are receiving less money for your own like job, for example. You have more things to pay, more gas, more bills. So I don't see this going to a very good direction. So that's why, like for me, it's kind of a darker times ahead of us. Hopefully, it's not for that long. Hopefully, things correct over time. But this devaluation of the fiat currencies, everybody can see, is a story that everybody knows for the past 10, 20, 30 years. Right now, only the dollar is being like strong against the other fiat currencies, but still, if you have dollars, you are losing money. If you have any type of fiat, you are losing money. But also, if you have crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Rev, you are also losing money. So it's kind of what should I do? Like
Right.
whatever I put my money, I'm losing money. So it's very, very tricky. But I think the best thing that you can do like is hope for the best, because I mean otherwise it's very hard to think about this subject because everybody's having a huge like hard time right now.
Yeah, and I know we shifted gears pretty aggressively, but I just think it's important to talk about this stuff and to really hear from people that are not in your zip code because
Yeah.
I know, in the US, which is where I am, there's definitely going to be people saying different things than, somebody in Brazil. So I appreciate you going into that. From the perspective of an investor, I know you wear many hats, so shifting to the investor hat, it kind of does seem like no matter what you do, you're kind of gonna lose in a bit. Um, you know, so from the perspective of like protecting yourself and making sure that you're not just sitting in cash and just getting ripped by inflation. I mean, maybe you
Yeah.
can farm stables and something, but but then you also, the world has not fully adopted crypto in the way that we want. Like I have to keep money in a bank despite not truly
Yeah.
wanting to. I'm in the US and I really don't want to keep my money in a bank. I can't imagine what that's like all around the world. Like, is that sentiment being felt where there's just distrust of bigger banks, bigger institutions? People want more control over their own destiny there. Is that a feeling that you're really hearing or feeling or seeing in the environment around you?
Yes, I guess that the lack of trust that you are having about the banks is pretty much global. Like in Brazil, in the US, in Europe as well, we have like some countries that people are taking the money out of the customers. So that's really, really bad. So that's why I try as best as I can to not having any money in the bank account. I have everything in my MetaMask. I have my wallet. I have my things. So for me, it's best to keep my things with my own watch than have with the bank. But then again, that's my point of view. But I can see that you have like a huge problem right now. I'm right now in Brazil, but normally I live in Lisbon in Portugal. So I also have this view from Europe and South America. In
Right.
Europe right now, for example, we're gonna have like a huge problem starting right now in the winter because of the gas, because the whole Europe receive gas from Russia. Now the pipe is closed, so the amount of increase of the energy bill is like some countries 100%, and we are not even near the like December, January. That's really hard winter. So like if you are a normal worker, your energy bill going to increase a lot. Your bills for you to pay your house as well going to increase a lot. So you're not going to have money to you to live like a normal life. So what's the government need to do? Print money to give you money. So like the inflation, if inflation is going to continue to increase this year, next year, and the year ahead, because the government will need to give you money to survive because of this macro issue with Russia, Ukraine, and etc. So that's why I don't see a very good 2023 because of this whole situation right now. And for me, with my investor hat, what I can do is dollar cost average every single month. I'm still buying my currencies, not financial advice. I buy Bitcoin, I buy Ethereum, I Chainlink 100%. So I buy the ones that I really think about going in the right direction. I'm not going to talk about play to earn and MetaSoccer because I'm very biased 100%. So
Of course.
just focus on the blue chips and the big ones. So what I'm doing is dollar cost average. And if I have like fiat currencies, I have this on dollar because is the only one that is going up for the past like 6 months or whatever. All the other currencies, euro, yen, whatever, is going down forever. So it's still very tricky to find out the best solution. For me, not financial advice, is what I'm doing to try to survive.
Yeah. No, I can tremendously appreciate that. And I appreciate you going into depth on that because it just seems like there are so few options unless you're super sophisticated. I mean, I've spent the last year of my life trying to figure out how exactly to handle situations like this. Very few people have that amount of time and bandwidth to be able to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I know I've been sitting here and studying and figuring it out and just absolutely racking my brain and testing and failing and testing and failing and trying again, losing money, making money, so all these different things. So I'm like, how is everybody else figuring all this stuff out? I mean, because this is complicated stuff. It's not, and it's not even complicated from like a we know what we want to do perspective. We know we all want to buy low and sell high and make a ton of money, put them into assets, have that cash flow, and so on and so forth. But the execution is very difficult. I mean, how do you know when you're supposed to buy? How do you know when you're supposed to sell? Should you sell? Do you have to take taxes? And I mean, it really gets into a lot of discipline. It's tough, and then not everybody wants to get deep into that. So it's just a very interesting time that I think we find ourselves in, and I appreciate you being willing to speak on that. I know we're way over time. I think we had 30
But
minutes scheduled, so we've been going way over time. So I want to start to wrap us up here, but getting out of this idea of like I want to move on to the next topic here and really just again scope out a bit more. What do you think is the dream of crypto gaming? Because a lot of people, myself included, we see a future where there is like a Ready Player One type of gaming experience, not the
Yeah.
dystopian stacks and all the different living conditions of the people in that world necessarily, but the gaming with the haptic suits and the full VR and anything's possible, and if you could dream it, you could make it, that sort of thing. I know for sure that that is what I'm using as my North Star of like, this is where technology can go. And I think it'll be really cool. And I want to help build that. What do you see as your North Star and what's really the promise of crypto gaming?
Yes, I guess that this vision of Ready Player One, like it's amazing. Like this movie is very very good for us on MetaSoccer. Like if you can go in that direction, it's amazing. Like imagine, for example, us having a partnership with a football club, and then you can sell the tickets in real life for you to see the match in real life, but you also can sell the tickets match for you to watch in the VR at your own place. So that's amazing. But for us to go in that direction, to have VR, to have technology, is like maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. But again, like we can go in that direction to start to have this type of interactivity with the users from Web2 for Web3. But I think that everybody that are going in that direction of Web3 type of gaming, they want really to make a decentralized type of game to give the ownership to the users so they can create this new ecosystem. So, and of course, if you can create a metaverse kind of abstract right now because we don't have yet the metaverse like Red Player One, for example. I think that we have the central land, of course, we have some out there, but with that level, I think we are still like maybe 5-10 years away to have that. So if you can go in that direction, that's amazing. But I think that right now people are really focused to create a community, to engage the community and give this ownership for everybody so they can play a video game, can play their own things, and can be like fully immersed in that vision. So pretty much that's what I think about it. And this is also the direction that you want to do with MetaSoccer. With that, I think that example that I give to you for the stadium is one of the options that you are debating right now. But again, we have like many things to do because it's sport. So it's sport. You have users. We have a lot of things to do. So we can go in that direction.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Gus, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your very valuable time. I know that you're wearing so many hats, and each hat comes with its own set of responsibilities and time requirements. So I appreciate you putting on your hat of being interviewed and sharing some time with me today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, mate. Anytime, if you want to maybe hop on the show, like in 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year to give us some updates, let me know. I would love to talk more about MetaSoccer.
Yes, love it, especially when basketball happens, because that's my favorite.
It's
So
coming. It's coming. No worries.
I love it. Cool, man. Well, again, thank you so much for being a part of this. Everybody that's watching and listening, I would highly encourage you all to go check out MetaSoccer. I've linked the Twitter in the title of the show here. It is at MetaSoccer_EN. That's at least the one that I found. You can also go to the link tree. It's linktr.ee/metasoccer and also metasoccer.com. So go check it out. I'm sure in the Discord and or whatever other communities you will see Gus. So give a big shout out and share some love. Also want to give a shout out to Zed Not Dead. He is a regular listener here. See him chiming in live. Appreciate you for hopping on. Thanks for your time as well, buddy. And everybody else watching and listening, thank you so very much. And I will see you all